and welcome to So Farscape.
A fun-filled Farscape fan cast by a fervent fan.
And a frankly fascinated first-timer.
I'm Kaki.
I'm Kay.
And this is the story So Farscape. Oh, Kay.
A firm fan?
Well, on occasion. I mean,
okay, well.
Sometimes when Ben Browder's wearing those tight leather pants, as he has been almost constantly this entire...
there's been a lot of leather on Ben, even though he doesn't play a big part in this episode.
No, it's... okay, so...
The story So Farscape.
Take it away.
The story So Farscape. A science jock gets thrown into a distant galaxy through a wormhole and has to... adapt to living on board of a living ship with his new crewmates who are ex-prisoners, ruthlessly pursued by an insane military commander, although we've changed insane military commanders in the meantime.
Yeah, very good point.
And, this is a good time to do a little flashback, because that's a bit of a flashback episode, isn't it?
Very good, yes. Okay, I was just swept away. I forgot how much I enjoyed hearing you recount it. But it's actually a very good point that you made about taking a little flashback to, for instance, Scorpius being the new insane military commander. So today's episode, spoiler, is 208, Dream a Little Dream. It's all about lawyers. We're going to talk about it in a second. But because it's all about lawyers, laws, rules, I've given some thought to the scoring system for your special Farscape fun bucks that you've been...
Do tell.
Okay, so here's what I'm thinking. You've got a lot of points stuck in fairly long-term predictions. Right? Which... I don't know how fair that is. How do you accrue them if you say, one of them is that there's going to be a pregnancy thing with Chiana.
Right.
Well, you might have to wait
until season 4 or whatever.
60-odd episodes or however. So here's what I'm thinking. You make a wager, just as you've done before.
Yes.
Last week you wagered that Rygel is going to lawyer up.
Yeah.
The number of episodes that it takes to actually be proven right is your multiplier. So...
Okay.
If you want to take long-term predictions, you're going to have to specify a duration.
Right.
But high risk, high reward.
I mean, okay, so the lawyering up kind of got proven true.
Yes, exactly. So you had a wager of 10. You're absolutely correct. So that was last episode that you made the prediction. There was 2 episodes, so that gets you 20.
Excellent.
Well done. I'm just updating my handy dandy database. Well done. That brings you up to, I think, 115. I don't have the total here.
Okay.
But for instance, you also had Scorpius becoming the new villain, which you made at the end of season 1.
I mean, we haven't really seen Scorpius again, so...
We did see he did the wanted beacons.
Right, true. He's still hunting for John, or more specifically for the information in John's head.
Oh, okay. No, here's a fun little wager. Do you want to take the wanted beacons as evidence that he's the new villain? And that gets you, I think that's episode 4 of season 2, so that gets you times 4. That's 30 points times 4 is 120 Farscape fun bucks.
Or do I want to let it ride and see if I can...
But maybe he won't be the villain. Do you want to...
No, I think I'll let it ride.
You'll let it ride?
Yeah, I'll let it ride.
I also love to live dangerously.
Yes.
Very good. Yeah, so, flashback is a really good point. Wait. No, we've got a format for this.
Yes.
We can, we've got listener submissions of synopses, and you can do this yourself if you have a clever, absolutely incomprehensible, totally useless way to describe upcoming episodes for us. Please do
Which
so.
is still factually correct.
And ideally recognizable. Please don't use, let's try not to use anybody's names.
Yeah.
Right? I think that's a fair one. You can find the link on our Twitter. That's @SoFarscape. There's a link to this handy little form where you can do that. And all our listeners have delivered some doozies for this week's episode.
Absolutely. Greg says, a therapy session turns into a few good moyens as the crew encounters the scariest planet, a world of lawyers.
A few good moyens is so good. Thank you, Greg. We've got a musical one from Wookie. Sweet dreams till moonbeams find you. Sweet dreams that leave all vivid hallucinations of John, Dargo, and Aaron behind you. Zhaan recaps her time on a planet infatuated with the rule of law where you're guilty until proven innocent by a stick on fire.
Yeah. The planet's actually called Litigara, which I didn't catch on until about halfway into the episode.
I know.
When exactly was that?
On Litigara.
I know. This is such a high concept episode.
So we have a planet which apparently consists of 90% lawyers.
Yes.
10% people called utilities. And I figure that from the way the planet looks, at least half of those people must work in rigging or lighting, because damn, it looked nice.
Yes, right. It's so, man, it's
dramatically lit, shadows everywhere, even in the
Blade
cell.
Runner, right?
Yes, even in the cell, and like when Zhaan was moving around, like she was moving in and out of the light, and that must have taken like so many takes. Like, no, you were leaning too far forward again. Like, dude, back, we couldn't see your face. And
yeah, the wonderful silhouette work as well. Like, there's a shot where we see Dargo, Aaron, and John walking toward the camera in silhouette in slow motion. Glorious. Do you know that this was originally filmed? This was the very first episode filmed for season 2.
Yeah, I can imagine that, because it basically fills in a little bit of the time what happened with the people on Moya. Around. But I also think that keeping it the way they did maintained the pace a lot better of the beginning of this new season. After you wanted to resolve the tension with what happened to John and Dargo be floating out in space.
Yeah,
and I think like cutting it in together with this would have dramatically
just been a screaming, I mean, a very bold decision, but like, you've just been waiting however many months for season 2 to come out, and then the first episode doesn't have like half the cast.
You only have, well, they had them in Zhaan's visions, I suppose, which she has some very vivid visions. I mean, to the point that she can't tell whether they're real or not at a certain point. I mean, I guess she was in the depth of her depression or her
emotional distress
at that point, which shows very well. I mean, it's like, I thought that was a very strong episode for Zhaan. It's like it's a little bit of a throwback to the period which I think and hope for her sake is kind of behind her, but it's a good way to bring that back a little bit and show us a little bit of the tension that went on, and I really enjoyed that.
Everything you're saying, like, this was originally one of the first 4 scripts written for Farscape, when it was still called Space Chase, like way back in the 90s,
right?
And that's why it has this almost sort of season 1 feel, like a planet full of lawyers. That's gonzo bananas. That's just bizarre.
It's very Star Trek-esque. I mean,
very much
I wouldn't say that's a bad thing in this case, because I thought it was a really good episode.
It would have been a great episode of Star Trek.
Yeah, but it's like the typical things, like we find the planet, and like, the planet of the lawyer people, or in this case, as I wrote it down in my notes, the planet of the wild jail bars.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, you've got this jail bar, which at one point gets dramatically melted, but she could have just slipped through those.
I know, they're very wide.
Yeah, but they get the alternate, like, really wide jail bars, and then, like, with the fine mesh.
Yeah.
I guess, again, dramatic lighting, because there's some gorgeous shots where they have the shadow of that grill projected on the people sitting in the cell.
Oh, yeah. The whole thing is absolutely amazing. So the reason this was filmed first was, I mean, they were switching studios, sound stages from season 1 to season 2, because Fox Studios had been taken over by Star Wars Episode 2, and Moya hadn't been built yet. So they had to have an episode that didn't take place on Moya.
Other than pilots.
Which are cutaways that they could film later.
I suppose so, yeah.
But as a result...
And that's why it opens on the transport pod, I guess. Although they probably did that later.
So they did that at the time of shooting. But this is one of, I think, 3 openers and buttons that was filmed. In case it was going to be like if it was going to be the very first episode, they hadn't decided yet. Then it was going to be a scene between Zhaan and Pilot sort of comforting each other. Yeah. Or it could have come after episode 3, or at this point where, the plot hook is Kidva barbecue.
Some joker decided to store his Kidva barbecue in the nav linkage.
By Rygel.
Yes.
You betcha.
I had no idea it was so chaotic until I dived into, wow, you were flying by the seat of your pants.
As good writers do.
Writers and the animatronics team as well.
Oh, yeah, I suppose so.
So they just had a brand new Team Rygel and a brand new animatronic puppet that they were working on.
Which they took good advantage of. I love the way that Rygel's eyebrows are still properly manicured here.
Yes, they're lovely and waxed.
And they had some gorgeous shots with him. Some of them a little bit CGI, but still very well done.
Oh, I don't know if there's any CGI of them. Which ones are you thinking of?
The one where he uses his throne sleds to float up over the the table. You can see that it's a little bit green screen, but it's like much better than they did in the first season.
I mean, imagine being Tim Meaville. Imagine being like the new puppeteer. Okay, you're gonna take over. Yeah, no problem. We've got a whole team. All right, this episode we're gonna have him in every scene. Oh. Yeah, okay, so are you okay with never sleeping?
Good luck with that.
Because normally he's in like, what was it? A handful of scenes. Like,
yeah, but this was 10, definitely, maybe. I wouldn't call it a Rygel episode, but it was a very Rygel-heavy episode.
And it's nice to get that. Like, Rygel, she, Zhaan, oh my god, she gets so much to do.
Yes. So, shall we get started with the episode? Because we've been, nattering for a bit about...
I know.
We're getting ahead of ourselves, I think.
Prepare to starburst!
So we open with, kind of the same sort of thing that season 2 opened with, a fake-out sort of flashback. Zhaan is having a stress dream about what happened to...
My first thought, are they in negative space or something? And is this a John flashback? But no, it turns out that a scene where John and Dargo are drifting in space and Erin is trying to rescue them, but she gets shot upon by prowlers and marauders, and it ends with John's visor cracking and
his head exploding.
Yeah, a little bit of whatchamacallit, Schwarzenegger, Total Recall. Yes, that's the one.
Mars, you see his face. It's really gross too.
Damn. Zhaan, that is where heart attacks come from.
But it turns out that it's Zhaan having a bad dream whilst John is trying to fix the nav systems of the transport pod.
Were you fooled?
Well, I thought it was a John flashback, not a Zhaan flashback.
Oh, like so, yeah. Because it's got this sort of white vignetting around the rims of the frame, sort of like a strip mall wedding photo.
Ooh. Vegas wedding chapel.
Yeah, there you go.
Does this guy just scream Vegas or what?
Zhaan wakes up in stress. John gets a little frightened. He says, "You almost give me a heart attack."
My circulatory organ does not seize up.
Yes, but mine does.
Those translator microbes, they're doing very good work here.
True. John tries to extract from her what it is that is troubling her, and she's a little bit reluctant to tell him about it.
Yes.
Which I don't really understand, because it it wasn't a pleasant time for her, but there doesn't seem to be anything overly traumatic or embarrassing or anything which might stop her from talking about it. It seems like the kind of thing that...
Ooh, let's think about that for a second. So what would she be ashamed of? Because you're right, she doesn't want to talk about it. Apparently, Rygel and Chiana didn't want to talk about it either. John mentioned...
They specifically said that you should talk to Zhaan about it. We're not the ones who should tell you about this.
Now, she was sort of in charge. She took charge of Rygel and Chi, and the main source of conflict is with Pilot, or specifically Moya, who wants to leave and search for her offspring. She's missing Talon. And I think eventually, this is the final planet out of 20 that they've been investigating.
Yes, all the planets that they could have possibly reached with the Prowler, which they've been going by one, and it's like they're in Coruscant. It's like big towers, big buildings, and everything. And so they just go into one bar, ask around, and oh no, they haven't seen them yet. So no, clearly they're not here.
Not on this planet either. Just every planet, you go into one bar, get totally Dren-faced.
Yes.
And then you call it a day.
Which is what Rygel is doing.
Buy a drink, beautiful.
Getting Dren-faced is not helping, Rygel.
Well, it's helping me.
I mean, he's putting the moves on Zhaan. She's having none of it. Chiana is doing what she does best, making friends, kicking people's ass in the background for whatever reason. And Zhaan having received no information about, I like that, by the way.
A sebation, a luxon, and another sebation.
Walk into a bar.
Yes.
No, they didn't. Oh, not here either.
So you said getting Dren-faced, but I thought I heard them use the term blaze out or something like that.
Tell me why she's just going to have to blaze out.
Another one of those neologisms. Maybe
that was it, yes.
Chill out, maybe?
I guess, yeah. But yes, Zhaan I was going to say breaks down, but she acquiesces to John's insistence to tell him about it and maybe get it off her chest. And she starts regaling the tale.
It's a long story, but I kind of got my hands full here.
Yes, prompted by John singing.
Sweet dreams till sunbeams find you. Sweet dreams that leave your worries behind you. But in your dreams, whatever they be,
dream a little dream of me.
Yes.
He's got a nice singing voice.
Yes, he does
do
well.
Sort of okay. Which was apparently another Ben Browder ad-lib, but nevertheless, so she hooks into that immediately. I was indeed having a little dream about you.
Yes.
So, I can imagine Data saying that in Star Trek The Next Generation.
Does he dream? I suppose he programmed himself to dream at a certain point.
Yeah, it was really bizarre. He had a telephone in his chest, and
that one, yes.
LaForge had an anvil.
Unlimited data plan.
Okay. What am I going to do with you? Actually, that's the sentiment that Zhaan has when she sees like Rygel collapsed on the table, Chiana making trouble. She grabs both of them and oxters both of them.
Yep.
One under each arm out to she is strong.
Drags them out. Yep. Chiana is like kind of flirting with some of the locals, and another one of the locals is keeping a close eye on them and like does little communication blips like, I think I found the right person.
I'm onto it now.
Yeah, she's like one of the sleazy aliens in Mos Eisley who radios back to the Empire that, I think I found who you're looking for. She is so sleazy. I don't even remember what her name is, but she's so smug and...
You won't be needing your communications device.
There's a little scene where Zhaan is talking to pilots to try to convince pilots to let them stay a little bit longer, I think, so that they can do a little bit more investigation on the planet. And Zhaan gets framed for jaywalking.
Attention, pedestrian. Do not cross. Do not cross.
This whole scene is a microcosm of like acting and drama and... I was going to say Farscape. I don't know necessarily Farscape because Zhaan wants to keep searching. Moya won't keep searching. So Zhaan says, give us one more cycle of this planet and then we'll come back with or without John and Aaron. Rygel and Chiana freak out and she lays down the law. Hey, I've seen how you're melting down after just missing them, and I hate to see how you're going to freak out.
Deal with your actual processing grief rather than processing trouble.
She's
and
very talking about herself, obviously.
Oh, yes. There's a little bit of projection going on there. But yeah, she, the lady who was following them, manipulates the traffic light.
You may proceed.
And gets Zhaan almost overrun, and like getting hit by a car is apparently an offense that you get arrested for on Litigara.
Litigara, yeah, she gets grabbed by the Devo police, sort of like on Psycar, where they've got the sort of darkened visors over their faces.
Yeah.
I wonder if they're the same sort of helmets, actually.
I don't know what Psycar is, but
it's the work planet with the Tannet route in.
Oh, that one. Yes, I see what you mean.
Thank God it's Friday again. They were red visors, whatever.
Yeah. But yes, after the opening credits, Chiana comes visit Zhaan in prison.
Falsely imprisoned.
Yeah, or in the space DMV.
Jail, actually, I suppose. And there's a pro bono lawyer, I suppose. I mean, that's where we learn that 90% of the people on this planet are lawyers.
There's so much exposition in this episode.
Who is willing to cover her case, and she figures like, oh, you're an off-worlder, it's a first-time offense, you'll probably get off easy, 10 days minimum sentence.
Yeah, minimum sentence, good judge on a good day.
Yeah, shouldn't be a problem.
And he's he's also very sleazy. He's got a cell phone.
Yeah, hold on. Okay, talk to me.
Mm-hmm. That he talks into, hey, talk to me. Yeah, no, darling, we can't do lunch today. Oh. He's only half listening, and Zhaan has a little conniption.
A little bit of a freak out, grabs him through the bars, drags him against it. Soldiers have to come in to electroshock her with their cattle prod rods or whatever it is.
She knocks one to the side. She is incredibly strong.
She is like, when she is amped up, then she is like a force to be reckoned with. Cut to a scene where we see Sleazy McSleazypants talking to some bigwig lawyer, telling that they found the perfect person for the scheme they have in mind.
Could you keep these characters straight and sort of keep telling them apart?
Yes, because their clothes are sufficiently different. I mean, they're all wearing these cowls or the baklava stuff with the little head thing on top, head padding. I don't know what it is.
Yeah, but it's at least a little cap.
It's tricky, but at least the outfits were sufficiently different that you could just like go, oh yeah, that's the red guy, he's the head honcho lawyer.
Yeah, very good.
And all in black, that's the executive assistant who does all the dirty work.
And the sort of crinkly gold outfit. I mean, they all looked like, I don't know, like a 1980s West Berlin disco nightclub. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I'd never been there, but in those times, well, I don't think I've ever been in a disco club in West Berlin. But
extreme like shoulder pads and very baggy blousing, and there's leather and there's crink. I mean, just imagine filming this on the set and everybody's just crinkling around you.
Well, actually, from the shot that Plex showed us when we were waiting for the episode, we had like big lawyer dude and this assistant person, and it was hard to see because it was a small thing. And for a moment there, I thought assistant person was Scorpius, and we had the lawyer guy being Q from Star Trek.
What a show this would have been!
I mean, fair enough. I mean, I can write that episode. It would be like Scorpius, fails to catch up with Moya and her crew, goes crying to his big brother Q, and enlists his help into catching up with the
it's finally happening, Kay. I knew that I was going to get you to write a whole episode of Farscape. This is just your first pitch. I mean, let's consider this like one of the sort of like with this episode, one of the first 4 that you write, and then no real place for it in the first season, so we'll use it in the second season. We'll just do a quick rewrite. Actually, I read in one of my many sources. So I've been delving into the unauthorized, uncharted territories companion that was sent to us by one of our listeners. Thanks again, Gareth. And also the visual companions. I remember there was a story that so this was one of those first 4 scripts, and it was the one that was sent to Rod Perth, big wig at the Sci-Fi Channel first. Mm-hmm. And he really dug it. And based on the strength of this story, he asked to see the pilot of the show that was then called Space Chase. It hadn't been renamed yet.
Oh, wow. So this is like the one they had on the back burner for a very long time.
Yeah.
Oh, well, it's a fantastic episode. I mean, yes, I can see how that would have sold it.
I know. I'm really heavy on the trivia. I'm just really loving it. And I've even put an order in for like the creature design book, which
that should be fantastic.
I'm gonna heavily redact it for you because
I was gonna say I would like be so loving to see that, but I guess it would be too many spoilers for anything that's in the upcoming.
When it gets here, I found it on eBay. Someone had a copy that I could afford because it's quite an expensive one. We are going to have to maybe do some crowdfunding for this show to keep up with like the hosting and all this. It's going to arrive soon, and I'll make sure I'll find us like a cool page that we can look at together.
That sounds fantastic. I'm looking forward to that. So, not looking forward is Zhaan, who is having the first of her many, many episodes during this episode.
I like that.
Where she sees that incredibly cool slow motion backlit scene of the people she is like pining for missing.
It's
walking
so
in.
Good. They're all holding a gun. John's in his flight suit. Erin's in her flight suit, stripped down to her waist. She's got an Ellen Ripley look. They look so baller.
It's great because like you can properly see how tall Dargo is in this one, because like he's almost like a head taller than John even.
Yeah, you sort of forget that he is. He is a like 6'6" nerd on platforms.
Yeah, they need to make him even taller than he already was. But yeah, so there's a little bit of Zhaan seeing them and going like, "Oh, you came to rescue me."
She's so happy.
You're here to rescue me.
Yeah, and unfortunately, it's a big disappointment for her.
I need you here to rescue me.
Even though after it turns out that she realizes that they're not real, we have a Terminator 2 moment of John walking right through
I had that too. The T-1000. He walks through the mesh.
And he actually just has a little sit down next to Zhaan, and he just comforts her. Like, she puts her head on his shoulder, and he's like...
So, there was an observation in the Uncharted Territories book that I thought was really, really on the money, because John talks to her about how unlikely it was that they would have survived and that she needs to let go.
Yeah.
The chances that we survived, that you'd find us, were 10 million to 1. You knew that the moment you starburst away. You're just refusing to accept it. But now you must.
Erin sort of guilt trips her. Like, John is appealing to her reason. Erin is appealing to Zhaan's guilt. Mm-hmm. And Dargo to Zhaan's spirituality. It's Dargo's sort of vision, the ghost of Christmas future, I guess. Encouraging her to, like, recommit herself to the Delvian Seek, which we later see her doing. Like, she shuts down.
Yeah.
Such a cool pattern. I really wonder, not to like keep peeling the layers back, but there's just a lot with this episode. It was written by Rockne S. O'Bannon, but he wrote it under his pseudonym, Stephen Ray.
Yeah.
I wonder what the case is. Like, was he being modest? Was it a contractual thing? Was he maybe not super happy with this episode? I couldn't find any information about that.
Maybe it's like because it was written so early on that he was like not performing under his real name yet at the time.
Oh, that's possible.
The fact that it's just so old that it was still written under a different name.
Look at us being little sort of copyright lawyers.
Oh, we're like, I mean, that's like, it's a planet of the
litigants.
lawyers.
Yeah,
Yes,
exactly.
After she realizes that she is having a vision or a dream or whatever it is, our little sleazeback corporate assistant shows up and makes her an offer. And at first, like, I think she's also again thinking, like, okay, am I imagining this as well? But no, she just like points her little traffic light controller device at the jail bar and melts it down.
I love that effect because it's sort of like a little squirt of energy that arcs out and down from her thing and sort of melts the bar. It's so cool.
So this is the thing that I kind of... Okay, so... Quick recap, quick forecap. She tells Zhaan that this is her only chance to escape, and here's instructions to get the GTFO.
Yep.
And Zhaan asks, why are you doing this? And so, do you want to escape or do you want answers? And Zhaan goes like, okay, like wanders out. This sets off the entire chain of the rest of the lawyering.
Yes.
But the one thing that never came up is like, how did she get out? It's like the jail bar was melted. It's like... There's some talk about like shift changes and how she managed to escape right without anybody noticing. But the elephant in the room is like, how the hell did that bar get melted?
Yeah. Huh. Well, I mean, maybe she puts it back after Zhaan leaves.
Yeah, we don't see that.
And then it's just our mystery, but clearly she left. But like, it can't be argued that she left because she's outside when she's found.
Absolutely. So yeah, she goes stumbling through the alleys, and just as she sees Chiana and Rygel, there's a bright flashlight which comes shining in from above. We see that there's a dead body at her feet.
Yeah.
The cops are there immediately. The piece of paper with the instructions of how to get out bursts into flames like a cheap magician's trick.
Yes, flash paper. I love it.
And there's more shock rods being used to re-arrest her, but this time the charge is murder.
Ooh, no.
Look, I told you, we are not killers.
Things are going from bad to worse. God, she takes a lot of shocks. And, you know, in after several decades of discourse about excess violence used by the police against certain people,
yes.
like it hit pretty hard. Apparently not so much for the pro bono defense lawyer, who shows up once again to greet her through freshly regrown bars and inform her, hey, the good news...
Well, the good news is you're no longer facing trial on the traffic violation.
You're not on the hook for traffic violations anymore.
Yes, that was funny.
Kind of cool that, I mean, she throttled him yesterday, and now he's back on the case.
Professional pride, I suppose.
There's a lot of exposition throughout this episode that I don't know that I can keep straight in my mind, because we go straight to the courtroom scene.
So you mentioned the fact that the sets hadn't been built yet. I have the firm belief that they repurposed the. You know that TV game show called Gladiator, where people had to run around and shoot pneumatic guns at targets and stuff? I swear that this is that same set rebuilt.
I had game show written down as well, because we pan up from Zhaan's cell and through the floor and up into this huge cavernous. It looks like a warehouse, like a hangar with some cool constructivist art. The desks are really far away. There's this cool purple light. Everything is like concrete and metal paneling. It's fantastic. But yeah, I sort of expected Anne What's-her-face to like
show up and
what is that woman's name? Anne Robinson.
Right.
From the
Weakest Link?
Oh, that's the one.
Yes.
I thought it'd be really cool and sort of make a topical reference to like 2005, and then I blanked on every single aspect. Thank you.
But yes, there's like a sour-faced panel of, I assume, a jury or something that are sitting there.
Yeah,
there's a public tribune, which for some reason has like the big head honcho lawyer on it. The judge is wearing an outfit that Guinan would be jealous of.
I know. She has a huge hat. She looks
like she's ready for Ascot, but
yeah, she looks like a licorice all sorts come to life. Absolutely fantastic. But she wears it with such dignity. God, just imagine being this actress and going, oh, I get to be on a sci-fi program. I have to wear that? I do. Oh.
Sure.
Okay.
Let's go for it. Yeah, the court the most holy proceedings get started, and it turns out that it's almost going to be an open and shut case, because apparently pleading not guilty is not a thing that you want to do, or at least not that something your lawyers want to do, because if you do...
I put on a defense I even suspect of being false, and I suffer the same punishment as my client.
That's incredibly harsh. So no wonder when Zhaan pleads her innocence, her lawyer withdraws.
Right, yeah. The judge goes like, has this been discussed with counsel? And then counsel goes, no.
No, it definitely does not. Well, then we can't accept your plea unless you have another attorney.
Big silence.
And then Rygel and Chiana both start talking at the same time.
Exactly, and that really surprised me. Like, I can see from Chiana, I almost expected it, but from Rygel, absolutely not.
Like, they're both surprised as well, and they sort of look at each other like two English people trying to get through a door, and then Chiana's the one that sort of runs up.
I think you mean a Canadian standoff.
After you. No, after you. Yes. Oh, I insist. She insisted. Now I've got to draw Blue Eyes White Dragon, and it becomes a Yu-Gi-Oh! Match.
Pants down, run to the car, first one to get to the door wins.
That's right. I think I understand why Chiana's the one who leaps into action, because this whole set is so huge. She has to cross like a 5-mile sprint to get to contestant number 1.
She runs up and pronounces that she will be defending Zhaan.
And
court adjourned, I suppose.
We cut back to the cell where we've got, it's so cool, Rygel leaning back against the wall, and Chiana comes in with arms full of law books, and informs Rygel that, hey, you can't lie. Wait, what?
You and me not lying? I am mad.
Nobody told us that.
We're supposed to do this without lying.
How are you supposed to do a court thing without lying? And Rygel is like, oh shit, now
absolutely fails.
Yes.
Look, by the time that they actually get to do the lawyering, like twice, he's interrogating some witness, and he goes, but...
Would it shock you to know that we have experts of our own who are prepared to testify that when we...
Chiana smacks him. It's like, shut up.
No question. The defense rests, Your Honor. He's pathological. He can't help himself.
No. So they retreat to the best place to do some lawyer research, which is in the bar where it all started.
Yes.
Where they are assisted, I suppose, by the barman, who's one of the utilities.
Yes. The other 10%, the underclass, because we learned that the victim... The bartender is a cute gentleman. He's got lovely short hair, and he pours them all a glass of exposition and leaves the bottle on the table for them all to enjoy. Okay, so the victim was like Wesley Ken, and he was a utilities rights advocate, and he was, it was a political assassination probably. And God, the laws didn't used to be that complicated. What else was it? The book.
Yes, he slips them a little, rules of golf-sized pocket book.
Yeah, a little book of calm.
Which apparently is everything that the laws was based upon. This is all the law used to be, but then everybody started becoming lawyers, so in order to be able to accommodate that many lawyers, we had to get more complicated laws, but this is the only part that really matters. And at this point, I'm thinking, okay, we have a Chekhov's law book here.
Right.
This is going to come back, and in a way it does, but not in a dramatic way that I thought it would do.
What were you expecting?
I don't know. I thought there would probably be some sort of arse-pull from Rygel based on the book. Well, but here it says that such and such, blah, 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 blah. I mean, which they kind of do.
Kind of get that. He gets his eureka moment.
Yes.
What did you say? You're a genius. I mean, not quite...
those levels, but yes.
LaForge levels of, that just might work. Okay, we have a lot of court scenes. So let's sort of wrap through the beats, because... throughout all this, Zhaan does not want to be defended.
No.
She's really concerned, and she feels responsible for Chi and Rygel.
Yeah, she wants to basically take her licks, and as long as it means that Rygel and Chiana get to go off the hook. I mean, we have to do the beginning of the next court scene, because Chiana is on the desk. She is completely drilled-faced, or at least suffering the effects from a hangover. And to be like, no, it'll be fine. I can do this. And Rygel goes like,
no one will notice my face down here.
Yes. Rygel gives her 3 pills. Take one now, one at lunchtime, and one later if you need it. And almost immediately afterwards, Chiana is talking at 1,000,000 miles a minute,
bouncing around
all over the place.
Yes, Your Honor, yes, I have questions for the witness. Yes, I do. Oh, I definitely do. Oh, I definitely do. Did I say I did? Because I do.
She's just absolutely unstoppable.
This was fantastic. I mean, Gigi must have had so much fun just really hamming it up and playing Chiana on 11 or 12 probably.
Yeah, just have sugary breakfast cereal soaked in coffee and go. Because it's only going to last 20 minutes, and then I'm going to have a gastrointestinal infarction.
Well, that was Rygel.
You little toad. You had to go for helium now?
Yes, that's another great one. Chiana's actually holding a great speech, and then it's interrupted as she starts speaking with a helium.
Because Rygel is sitting there farting it lasts several seconds.
It goes on so long, and he says, I get
nervous.
It happens. We're in court. Sue me. Yeah. This episode was cuckoo. It went all over the place. It's so dramatic. It's so cartoonish. It's an absurd concept. Half the cast isn't in it. Like, what other show other than, well, there's tons and tons of exposition, so maybe Star Trek.
Right, yes. There's a little bit of back and forth when they're questioning the lawyers. This is where Rygel gets smacked over the head a few times by Chiana when he, starts to venture into, not entirely true territory.
We know for a fact that the time of death couldn't be when you said, because...
You cannot lie.
He's not the only one suffering consequences. Zhaan tries to change her plea to guilty.
Right.
Which Rygel steps up and he says, hey, yesterday you wouldn't accept an innocent plea without agreement from her attorneys.
Yes. Does that same rule still apply? And, the judge goes, guess so. A couple of guards grab her and she gets this little mesh in front of her face.
Good job.
Yeah.
Good job actually covering the...
I just realized. I heard it in my headphones that
we're sort of physical podcasters is kind of our thing.
I mean, you should see the amount of gesturing and we do while we're doing
I do.
Well, you do, but occasionally our listeners don't get to see the benefits of...
Hey, maybe that'll be a Patreon exclusive.
Oh, how?
Oh, no. Oh, no. Oh, no, it absolutely won't. If we do a Patreon, we will spare you that. How's that for a deal?
That sounds fantastic. I'm sure that people will pay us not to have to watch us.
Oh, hold on. Wait, no. That is not true.
Right. So, let's see. After a day in court where not much gets resolved, but again, the hotshot lawyer, about whom we have learned that he is actually the planetary leader because his law firm is the current one in power.
It's so much exposition that kind of doesn't matter, but yes, those are the political machinations, and the lawyer class, the 90% think that the utilities don't need more rights; they need to work harder.
Back in the bar, there's a little discussion between Chiana and Pilot about the fact that Moya is getting restless. Moya wants to leave. She misses Talon. She wants to go looking for him, and she is about to spin up her drive and GTFO.
Yeah. And things are about to get worse because Chiana walks out and she walks into one of my favorite special effects. She's sort of stuck in the middle of this murder alley with half her face as if it's sticking through an electronet. Yes. It looked so good.
Which is literally what it's called, I believe, an electronet. Mm-hmm. And she gets hauled off to the
offices of Human, whatever, the big
headshot lawyer.
The law firm currently in power is Ruman William something.
The big honcho and the super smug
personal assistant who's been doing his dirty work.
Yeah, she informs him that you better drop this case and move on without your friend, or you'll be put up on charges.
False charges. That will nevertheless keep you locked up here in Litigara for the rest of your lives.
Yes.
Wow, what a sleazebag.
Such a completely droll face.
The Dren. What's
Dren
a Drell?
I don't know. I'm making it up as I'm going along. Dren face. Chiana goes can't be bothered, can't be, she puts up a little bit of a huffy air, I suppose, and, is completely uncooperative.
Yep, she's kicked back out, after which Pilot informs her, hey, we heard the whole thing.
Yes.
Your comms, which Sleazy McSleazebag took off of her and dropped in a pint of whiskey.
Half a gallon of it.
Right? It's a very generous supply. Gosh.
That's a fishbowl that he had there full of it.
Well, he takes a lot of meetings. Heard the whole thing and want to give them some extra time because, yes, this injustice will not stand. Even as much as she wants to find her child, Moya still, she has hung out for almost 20 days to try and help
visiting all
out.
These different planets, 1 bar per planet, no more.
It's a shame that Moya didn't have a recording. I mean, on Star Trek: The Next Generation, that's how this would have been solved. They would have found a recording of this confession, essentially, by the villain.
Yeah.
But that's not Farscape.
And it might not be admissible in court and hearsay and all that kind of thing. Because that's another thing I noticed. They're not very much about truth-finding in this law system.
How do you mean?
The whole thing with the bars of the cell melting down, the fact that the body ended up there, they're not investigating how did he get there, what happened with the murder. There seems to be a lot of assertions, but not a lot of fact finding and finding out what it is that actually happened.
Yes, we briefly see a forensic scientist take the stand, also a lawyer himself, but we don't get a lot of cross-examination because that's the one where Rygel keeps lying, and they don't actually have any contrary evidence. This may be the death of 1,000 cuts that this script went through multiple iterations. It was essentially rewritten because the ultimate resolution is the victim of this murder had blue eyes, and blue-eyed people get moonburned when they're out on
when both the moons are out.
as was the case on the night of the murder.
Yes.
But the body showed no such burns.
Whereas the first officer on site did.
And that's used to establish this sort of causal link. But like there was original script where the officer was implicated and indicted, which isn't really happening here. We don't even get who the identity of the murderer is.
Zhaan is being straitjacketed up for her next appearance in court, or maybe even as a precursor to her execution.
I mean, it's an appropriate sort of thing because she is completely catatonic. She's just chanting and praying, and as we see her later.
And we've seen her throwing people around like nothing.
Mm-hmm.
When she has a vision of Dargo showing up.
Sweet Dargo.
This is not the first time you've had to endure a cell like this.
Oh, yes, you're right. She's not chanting yet. It's the vision of Dargo that encourages her to
go back into the Seek.
He mentions that he has seen...
I have known thousands of warriors on countless worlds.
Well, yeah.
That seems like a lot.
Yeah, more worlds than warriors. So he's been to over 1,000 worlds, and so he's met less than one warrior per world. Because
you sound like Bilbo on his birthday.
I've met more warriors than half of you, and the other half
as well as they deserve. But of course, these are imaginary figures. I mean, she's clearly been paying close attention as the Uncharted Territories observed, because her virtual recreation of John mentions Disneyland.
Yes.
So he must have mentioned that at some point.
And she confesses to him that that's right at the end. It's like half the time I have no idea what you're talking about.
You and me both.
Yeah. Chiana comes back into the cell where Rygel is actually holding Zhaan's hand, which is like kind of like, which she quickly snatches away when Chiana appears, who seems to be in good spirits.
Yeah,
because she has an angle that she can work, and that's like she's all about the angles, especially her cheekbones.
Gosh, yes, oof.
Grabs Rygel's communicator to get back in touch with Pilot. This is a tense moment where we left in doubt whether or not Moya has already left, but this is when we hear that Moya heard about all the everything that went down, and that she's decided to give them a little bit more time.
Gosh, aren't we lucky that the Treaty of Mintaka 3 is admissible in court?
Yes.
And the good news continues, because Rygel has another eureka moment. The first one was in the bar when he was quaffing his second pint of exposition, and that's when I think he realized that the victim had blue eyes.
Yes.
Something that we weren't told at the time. He holds up a picture and the bartender goes, "Oh,
that is him."
Good.
Yes.
And he has another illuminating moment here as he's reading the Axiom, which is their the golf rules book.
Because they have the flaming stick of truth.
Pretty interesting, isn't it?
The flaming stick. Apparently this script was originally called The Inner Light, which I'm glad they didn't go with that, because that is a really famous episode of Star Trek The Next Generation.
That's one of the highest rated episodes.
Absolute masterpiece, because in this Axiom, this old law book, apparently if you hold a torch near a person, it'll burn brighter when he lies.
Yes.
And they can't deny it.
No, it's right there in the core rules. So I guess that's still a bit of the Chekhov's law book. That's where it comes into play.
Yeah.
Because back in the courtrooms, that's exactly what happens. Chiana calls a big head honcho lawyer onto the stand.
Yep.
Who does a admirable job at rebuting her questions when she asks, could this have happened? And he goes, hypothetically speaking, yes.
Yeah.
But Chiana just smashes a chair, grabs one of the legs.
No.
And wanders up to it, and then here's the truth of Torch.
They do this whole sort of song and dance, her and Rygel, about this is an ordinary chair. Don't you agree? It's sort of like they're stage magicians. This is a whole variety show. And we'll need one assistant and 2 small aubergines.
But they are both in their element at this point. It's fantastic.
Well, a lot of truth is only ordinary wood.
Finally playing to their strengths.
Yep, and the judge kind of is a little bit reluctant, but she goes okay, and the head honcho lawyer goes it's a metaphor, you're not supposed to take it literally, but it's in the law book.
Exactly, there's nothing in the rules that says a dog can't play basketball.
Fair enough.
That's how we got Air Bud.
Lovely movie.
Is it?
I don't know.
I haven't seen it, and that's why I caught your bluff.
I always there's been a few basketball movies that's Air Bud and a Space Jam, and I always get them confused.
How?
What?
One of them has Bugs Bunny, the other one has a dog.
Right, but I think they both have Bill Murray, don't they?
What? Oh, wait.
I'm not sure. I could be wrong.
No, you're thinking of Osmosis Jones.
And that he also, but I'm pretty sure that
where the whole movie takes place inside Bill Murray.
But I'm pretty sure that Bill Murray is also in at least one of the two. I think he's in Air Bud, but
whoa.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I stand humbled. Apparently you know more about Air Bud than I do, which is that one thing.
Chiana has this wicked lighter, which immediately sets the chair leg on fire, but only the end leg. The end part. It's like there's no flames. It's just like, it's almost like there's like a light glowing inside, and then she's holding a prop.
Light.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh. But she's got like this magical lighter, which looks like it uses magnesium flares or something to get it going.
It's so powerful. I mean, if you have this, how was Zhaan still in jail?
I mean, maybe that's how they proposed that they melted the jail bar.
As weird as the sort of special effect of the glowing end of the chair leg is, it does cast these lovely god rays around Rygel as he's speechifying. I've got to say, I loved it. I was not a huge fan of this episode the first time around, as has been the case with some other episodes, but man, I loved how wild it was.
I thought it was fantastic. I loved it to bits. Head honcho lawyer on the stand, especially when the torch gets brought out, sits there doing... I mean, I can only say, like, he looked like John Cleese doing an unimpressed face. I mean, like, look at...
Yes, I know what you mean. He's got the DreamWorks face almost, the head tilt, really...
And yeah, they start putting some questions to him. Like, they reiterate how the oath that they take to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, and then he vows on that, and that is the most sacred oath that a Litigaran can take.
Yep.
I mean, he doesn't seem to be too impressed by the torch, because he starts, like, flat out lying.
Yes, of course I'm speaking hypothetically.
They ask him, like, did you arrange the murder? Do you know about the plot? Did you do anything?
Did you order the code red?
Wait, what?
Oh, it's A Few Good Men with Jack Nicholson. But instead of breaking down, they cheat. They play to their strengths.
Massively. Somehow they get a pilot involved who makes Moya do something.
Science bullshit is beamed down into... I mean, this is the next generationist resolution where it's just, we found this other purpose for the saucer.
Bounce the particle things of the main deflector shield.
Invert the polarity of the... Oh, yes, and we've soured the milk. Now we can do it.
They flare the torch up.
And they convince the court that you can see our cool light... He must be lying.
Yeah.
And if the stick is lit, you must acquit.
Oh, man. Yes.
Oh, no.
Fantastic. We got an episode title here.
Cool. I'm kind of proud of myself, yes. I've got to say. But, okay, so all's well that ends well, and just like that, we're out of the flashback and back in the pod with John and Zhaan. And... this set, so this transport pod set, is super boring. There's nothing going on here. It looks really fake.
Yeah, there's a console in the middle with some deck plating that John keeps pulling out and disappearing into a couple of sleeping benches, which Zhaan is still reclining on, and just some Moya ribs, and that's it.
But, like, the last time that we saw it, I mean, we spent a lot of time in here in the flax, but then they had steam and the lights were going, and it looked much more alive.
And Weekend at Bernice, there was a lot of pod action
there
as well.
A lot of pod action. But it sort of goes to show, like, these sets were built on a budget. It was very expensive for Australian terms, but they were built with, like, ingenuity and practicality and brought to life, much like the puppets themselves. Like... design only gets you so far. The rest is animation. Literally like the endowing of something with life, which when it's not being done to a set like this, you can really see how that it's kind of dead unless you actually pump life into it.
A little bit of moving lights and dramatic mood lighting. Like, I mean, it didn't jump out at me to be lacking that particularly. Because
it's a really lovely scene between John and Zhaan.
He understands that, like, how she's been troubled by this, and really, I mean, all's well that ends well, I suppose.
Yeah, they have a first season happy sort of come down after the intensity.
Yeah, alleviated even more by the fact that Moya apparently is back in communications range.
Crichton, Zhaan, are you there?
Sparky, we're drifting dead.
They're talking to everybody. It's like, what kept you? And it's like, well, somebody left their barbecue in the navigation system. Rygel's been like hoarding food again, apparently.
Well, what did you expect? It's nice to hear your voice again.
What do you expect of Rygel's? Literally what's said, which I think should be a wall tile on Moya. It's like, maybe in the bathroom or we weren't going to talk about Moya's bathrooms, but like somewhere in control or something. There's like a big sign on the wall which says, what do you expect of Rygel?
Very good. Well, after this episode, I expect a lot more. We've never seen him step up to the plate like this before.
And I love how John calls Zhaan a tough little pal.
Oh,
yes.
10th level.
10th level, yes.
He says 10th level, but tough little works as well, because he says, like, when you get to level 11, you get the TV ministry.
Yes, and that's when she goes, like, I have no idea what you're talking about. It's like,
you and me both, babe.
Most of the time, I have no idea what you're saying.
Neither do I.
Good episode.
Hey, going back to the beginning, John says he understands why she didn't want to talk about it. Why do we think that is?
No,
because
I don't.
Is she ashamed of descending into the Seek, of failing to protect Chiana and Rygel?
I think it's that, because we see that very much in the beginning, when just before the jaywalking scene,
right?
When she's like, she literally goes like she's taken control. She's stepped up.
She literally grabs them both by the ears.
She literally calls Rygel and Chiana children.
Yeah.
I guess she misses like the other people around to have a little bit of rapport from.
Maybe also that she gave up. That she had a moment where she decided that we're going to return and we're not going to.
Yes,
she
was willing to leave and leave them behind and like accept the fact that the others were all gone.
I loved this episode. I was not expecting to.
I'm surprised. Like it hit off very well with me. I mean, the only thing I could say about it in a negative way would be like, it felt a little bit Star Trek Next Generation.
Yes, no,
but
that's very true.
Literally the only thing I can say about it. But it would have made a damn good Star Trek episode, and it's like a fantastic Farscape.
Yes, it absolutely is. Like in my memory, it was there with Vitas Mortis and Taking the Stone and A Dream a Little Dream, and those were like sort of tonal missers. Like certainly, it was such a season 1 throwback versus the like more grounded. Not exactly realistic, but like less concept of the week,
right?
Than they did in season 1, where you had the space western on Till the Blood Runs Clear, and the super drugs and the gauntlet in Thrown for a Loss.
Yeah, I really liked it. Also for the little flashback towards like the things that happened around the season opener time. So like we get a little bit more background and insight into things that occurred around, well, literally between the two seasons.
So, Willies and Woodies?
She gives me a Woody.
She gives you the willies.
Oh, my Woody definitely goes to Gigi getting to ham it up completely as Chiana in the courtroom scene.
Oh, Chi on pills.
Yeah, where she's like rattling off at a million miles a minute. And like,
hi, Chi.
Yes, that was so fantastically good fun.
Mr. Sand, the defendant. Mr. Sand, Mr. Sotos, and the woman standing right there. Right there. Do you see her? Because I see her. Do you see her?
Woody, well, actually, I'm going to reverse my willies and woodies because my willy goes to the wood. The prop for the sort of stick of truth was rubbish.
I guess they couldn't like have open flame on set or something like that.
Why? It was clearly like a hanger. But then again, I mean, everybody's clothes was made out of polyester. Maybe it was health and safety.
Chiana's wig, I suppose, is also quite...
Oh, wow. Yes, good point. Woody's... Oh... it's that shot where Dargo and Aaron and John are just walking down the... Yeah, that is a powerful gif.
Yeah, very much so. Willie, for me, I guess it would be like the lawyer planet where they don't... The whole lawyerism seems to be kind of weird because, like, they were willing to like give someone a trial for traffic violations, but the execution would have almost at one point it almost seemed like, oh yeah, they're going to kill you, and like it's all said and done. I mean, if they hadn't like changed lawyers, it would have been an open and shut case, and like no finding of truth, no nothing. It's just like, here we go, there you go, you did it, and we're going to execute you tomorrow. So that's I found that a little bit weak for a Planet of the Lawyers type theme thing.
And now I'm wondering whether, I mean, we have some very attentive listeners. We actually, on Team K, there's at least one person that we know, our friend Crimson, who is watching Farscape for the first time along with the podcast.
He's he watches it the day before the podcast drops every week.
Oh, and he treats us to these wonderful sort of live commentaries.
It's lovely to see his observations to the...
Right, I wonder if... I mean, have we missed stuff? Because this was like 2000 that this came out. I think it was even aired in its original form in 2000-ish. Like, we are not familiar with the hyper-litigious late 90s culture of the United States, or how it was represented, or like all these stereotypes that may be obvious to an American viewer but aren't to us.
I have no idea. Like, we completely missed that frame of reference.
We can only do what we can do, which is to keep doing it.
Let's keep going.
And that's the story so Farscape.
Please join us next week for episode 209, Out of Their Minds, where Freaky Friday meets the Dark Crystal. Would you rather be in Aaron's shoes or in Crichton's pants?
Oh
my.
Hey, do you want to make any predictions? Do you want to put a bet?
Oh, geez.
Yeah, you can do it.
Let's see. Freaky Friday meets
Don't
the
think
Dark
about it. Don't wait for the translation. Answer me now.
Well, come on. You have to give me some time to let this permeate into my mind and have some sort of Hynerian royal artifact comes into play, which gets fought over.
All right. How many points are you got at 5 points?
That's a fairly large leap. So
I like it. You can find us at SoFarscape on Twitter and Facebook and on SoFarscape.com. I'm Kaki.
I'm Kay.
So Farscape, so good.